Okay. All right. All right. Hello. How you doing? This track is banging. I need to put the like on that. Okay. Draw some great sword love. Yeah. It's actually supposed to be. Yes. Excellent. It's from the latest episode of the Boss Designs. Anna, it's the boss I fought. Let's see. I think I had some imagery of it. Yes. There we go. Let's see. Let's grab that. Okay, I need to move my damn microphone out of the way. I forgot about that. Yeah. I need a different microphone setup for when I'm drawing compared to when I'm playing games. Please tell me the noise suppression is not on. Don't put that on. And the gain is... I think that's about right. There we go. Yeah. Am I properly audible over the music and stuff? I mean, I really should get like a proper boom mic or something that I can use. Like to hang over my head, so I don't have to have it close to my face. Let's see. Which one of my 4 billion different pencil brushes do I want to use? Escape Fiend, maybe? No, not that one. That's too thick. That'll do. Could lower the music a bit. Yeah, I figured. That might do. Okay, let's edit this reference into something more usable. Talk about a character with some interesting properties. I could do a Yoshi, like... Cute. Adorable. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so it's got this elongated neck structure thing going on. And it's kind of like they're crammed into the same pair of pants, right? It's like they're both wearing basically the same set of pants on the other side, and it's just kind of both crammed into it like this. Which is kind of hilarious. Okay, so that's like a basic... So that's like a very basic version of how to sketch them. I'm gonna narrow in the waistline as well. That's kind of what I like about them, is that their waistline is really narrowed in an interesting way. Alrighty then. So now the question is, how can we simplify that? Well, it's not really body horror, it's just conjoined. Like some people are in real life, you know? Yeah, something along these lines seems to be a decent way to simplify them. That's one of the clever things about this particular character design, by the way, is the way in which it uses the belt and the loincloth to kind of cover up some of the details of the anatomy in a way that makes it easier to kind of fool the eye into accepting it without thinking too hard about, you know, stuff like how can both of their spines be joined together and how can they still move and stuff like that. Which is very cleverly done, I think. And then they have these really long arms, which I think is kind of... the Quap Sentry. Oh, there's a blast from the past. I haven't thought about that game in years. But yeah, that's the thing. When you're drawing a character design that's as complicated as this, finding ways to simplify is your absolute best friend. So, like, instead of trying to draw the full, like, complexity of the anatomy, just kind of, oh yeah, that's the torso, and then they have, like, a smaller midriff, and then a couple of shoulders that are attached to it. And you can kind of stylize your way out of trouble. Fun science news. Sharks are attracted to death metal supposedly because the sound waves register as struggling fish to the sharks. Well, now. It's so weird drawing them with the feet the other way around. Let's have a smaller pencil brush now. Hello, Kilner. Oh, thanks, Master of Disaster. Kind of you to stop by. See, because now I realize that I actually want to move this arm a little bit to the left. Okay. Yeah, the auto moderation is a little strict right now. Hopefully it'll get more permissive as I add terms and stuff to it. But I thought it was best to start out strict and then, you know, loosen it up as we go. So I do an initial sketch. Yeah, I mean, the more sketch passes you do, generally the better your drawing gets, because you always make mistakes, so... And the only way to account for that is to take multiple passes at it. Because, like, every time you redraw it, you're forced to reevaluate it as well. And you're forcing your brain to think about the drawing again. Because it's very easy when you're doing just one sketch to get caught up in it. To kind of go, oh yeah, God, yeah, I love what I'm doing here and here and here. And kind of become blind to all the stuff that you're getting wrong. Okay, let's see. I saw someone online who'd done a really cute bit of fan art for the Flexile Sentry. I wonder if I can find that again. Yeah, there it is. Like this. I think that's pretty adorable. Hey, CGI. By the way, this shape right here is really good if you want a hand that's, like, holding on to a thing. Because, like, it's basically just this. And then you kind of add a little outcropping to it. And that gives you kind of the back of a hand that's holding something. And then you can just add a thumb to it. I find that really useful for sketching when I don't want to really, you know, go hard on it. Crackety. You couldn't hear that, but my entire back just went... Okay, legs. Legs, huh? It's like, that's just a side plate on the leg, or are those pants? How are those even attached? Are they clipping through the thing? Okay. Making moves. Making moves. Let's see, what does its weapon look like? Can't really see that here, but I remember that it's a cutlass kind of situation with the hand guard. So that would end up being something like that, right? Yeah. I feel like the legs are too short. Way too short, actually. TB flying. Oh, the name puns. They are endless. And that, kids, is why you do multiple sketch runs. To ensure that when you realize that the legs are way too short, you fix it before it's way too late. This one should probably be a bit lower than the other one, really. And a bit further forward? Maybe something more along those lines? Yeah, that's not wrong. But it does kill his balance a little bit. So probably what I need to do is this. Because his center of gravity needs to be further back. Center of gravity. Yeah, China Boy is a website I used to be an admin for. Hey Scan, there's some speech-to-text mod for Chrome that I saw some streamers use to create captions for their streams, so that people who can't hear or aren't native English speakers could understand what's happening. Would you consider using it in your streams too, maybe? I wouldn't mind, but I don't use Chrome, so I'd have to figure out if it exists for Firefox. Yeah, I can work with that. I think... So now I'm tempted to do another sketch over top of that, just to really rein it in. But I feel like I'm kind of there already, and I can start in on... Let's see, is that too big? A little bit. There we go. I love this brush. I really do. What do I think of the Lux comic now that it's ended? I don't know yet. I haven't read the final issue yet. But I mean, I generally have some good and some not so great thoughts about it. Like, I'm really happy that they finally did something like that, but it's annoying that they felt like they had to compress everything down into such a short time scale, when it feels a lot like it could have used 4 or 5 issues more to breathe. Instead of kind of having to rush through a series of events really, really quickly. Because, like, it was supposed to do a bunch of world building for Demacia, which I guess it did, but it was also, like, it was world building that you weren't really allowed to spend any time in. I mean, and of course, Silas is right. Like, that's the other thing. That's something I'm gonna have to do a video about at some point. Is that objectively, in the Demacia storyline in League of Legends, Silas is right. Like, Demacia is a fascist state that's enacting a genocide against a, population minority. He's right, and I don't like that the story keeps trying to both sides the thing. Like, oh, but, like, the mages, like, they're too extreme, and Silas, like, he's way too much of a fanatic. He should really just sit down and negotiate about getting the government to stop murdering him and everyone who's like him. I mean, why all this violence, honestly? Like, no, when a government is murdering an entire population group, like, brutally and systemically, then it's like, no, you do violence to make that stop. That's what you do. And there really isn't a lot of room for fucking ambiguity there, Jarvan. I like that it didn't take long at all to get into talk about fascism being bad. It's a pretty easy topic, honestly. I feel like there's an easy moral stance to take. Yes, my name is TV Sky, and fascism is bad. I approve of this message. Additionally, anti-fascism is good. Nothing but spicy, controversial hot takes on my stream. How dare he say something like that? Oh. Courting controversy by saying that genocide isn't a good thing. John Mulaney, I don't care for these new Nazis, and you may quote me on that. Yeah. That's such a good joke. Because it's so gentle, but it's still, you know... Answering genocide with genocide hasn't been a historically good idea either. No, but, like, point me to the time when the people who were being genocided the genociders right back, and you won't find any, because there aren't any. Because a genocide is always enacted by a powerful majority against a disempowered minority. That's how it works. Middle East, no. No. Because in order to enact a genocide, you need structural power. And in order to be the victim of one, you need to not have structural power. Like, those are the only conditions under which it can happen, is if some group is disempowered enough that they can't defend themselves. And yeah, if you're talking about, like, stuff like the Crusades and shit like that, the Crusades were not a genocide. Like, well, in the sense that we think about it in modern terms. And... well, I mean, that's dangerous to say, of course, because they took the form of genocidal behavior. But what they were war. Like, specifically, and then they followed that up with genocidal violence. And it's worth noting that the Muslims, when they took over Jerusalem after they had kicked the Crusaders out, did not commit genocide against the Christians. That did not happen. Because Muslim doctrine demands that you do not inflict your faith on others with violence. Whereas Christianity, historically, has been perfectly fine with compelling faith with violence. So, like, it's really, really be careful about... especially with the Crusades, there's a lot of historical misinformation out there about, oh, it was, like, oh, the Muslims did a bad thing in Jerusalem, and that's why it was totally justified. No, it wasn't. It was an act of completely unprovoked warfare. And some of the Crusades feature genocidal behavior. For example, one of the Crusades ended up in Constantinople, where they committed something of a genocide against fellow Christians for no good reason. Because the Crusades were terrible and an awful idea and incredibly stupid. That's the other thing about the Crusades most people don't know is like they won one of them. Like the success rate is awful. And most of the Crusades that were undertaken not against Muslims, but against other Christians, essentially. Because Urban II didn't really intend to cause a crusade the way that he did. He didn't really anticipate how extreme the commitment would be from, oh god, the Jewish, fuck yeah. Like, the Holocaust wasn't the first time that anyway, that's a heavy subject. But anyway, Crusades were stupid and bad. And, like, just... should not be applauded or, you know, looked back on as some kind of righteous anything, because they weren't. Yeah, I mean, the thing we kind of forget when we talk about, like, stuff like World War II and the Holocaust is, like, the World War II Holocaust was just, like, the latest one, but there's been dozens and dozens of genocides against the Jews, especially in Europe, for, like, centuries and centuries and centuries. Britain did a genocide of the Jews, with the Expulsion Act in, what was it, 1200-something? Like, it's happened over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. It's not like just, oh, this was the one time when we... No. It's been a constant of Jewish history. Which, like, is why the subject is so contentious, because it wasn't just the one-time thing. Anyway, wow. That's a great topic to talk about when you're trying to draw, like, a video game boss character. Crusades are for memes. Yeah, I would be careful about that, because Crusades are one of the favorite memes of white supremacists. Like, they really like to meme about the Crusades. The alt-right, the online Nazis, ugh. Oh, you're agender. Cool. Yeah, careful, Soul Step. We've both been guilty of it. Okay, cool. Making progress. Did I hear about the Fate franchise? I know about it, but I'm not into it. Like, I know there's a million characters with Saberface. That's it. That's all I know about Fates. Also, that they take historical figures who are who were decidedly not hot and just make them hot all the time. Oh, and I know Hans Christian Andersen is like a tiny little... is like a 12-year-old boy in the Fate franchise, I think, which is fucking hilarious to me, because that man was born at the age of 55 and never changed throughout his entire fucking life. Hans Christian Andersen has the same VA as Dio. Kono Hans Christian Andersen da! Oh man, I kinda need to listen to that. Yeah, nice. Oh, wait, hang on. That's dumb, that's bad. Yeah, I need to turn it properly. There we go. It's same face. Saber faces are... Like, there's a character in Fates called Saber, and then there's like 15 other characters who have the exact same face as her, because they're different versions of her from different time periods and alternate universes and shit like that. And also because she's the most popular character, I think. If I don't miss my guess. Okay. Making progress. Okay, I think I want some rulers for this. Symmetrical rulers, specifically. I need to remove the sketch. Napoleon wasn't actually short. He was average height for his time. The idea that Napoleon was particularly short is basically propaganda created by the British during wartime. And the French did much the same. Like, they would talk about Wellington being, oh, he's all syphilis-ridden, and their king is like the idiot who's inbred and whatever. I should look at the reference art. How spiky are those clubs? Oh, they're regular spikes. I see. So actually... Yeah, I can segment the club like this. And then just construct the spikes around that. Long live the metric system. Yes, yes, indeed. Cool. Base 10 and the metric system are really quite French. Yeah, I mean, well, are they? I can't remember if... I mean, they are now because they're managed by the SI thing, which is a French organization. But I'm trying to remember if Base 10 was originally Latin. I don't necessarily think it was. I think Latin was Base 12 back in the day, but I don't actually remember. I don't remember. No, let's avoid that overlap, because it's just gonna give me grief. So out of all the Dark Souls series bosses you've seen so far, which one is your favorite design? I don't know how to do favorite questions like that. I just don't, because I tend to have things I like about a bunch of them and the things I dislike, and I can't really rank them. I mean, the Flexile Sentry is up there. It's a really cool design. But how I would rank it against another, like a Dark Souls 1 boss, like the Gaping Dragon or something? I don't know. I have no idea. My reaction to Pool Party Ilawi. It depends, because I'm not sure Riot would be brave enough to actually make her fucking hot. Like, they might just put her in like a one-piece swimsuit that doesn't really highlight her or anything. Which is sure nice, but I'd really like them to, like, get as titty babe with Ilawi as they do with the rest of them. And I'd like them to get less titty babe with the rest of them, to be honest, because I'm tired of it. And just maybe design a woman with, like, maybe come up with one more body type. You've got 3 in the game so far. It's like Child, Hottie, and Ilawi. Those are the body types in League of Legends that women can have. Be nice if they came up with one more. Like maybe a fat woman. Like one. Just one. Or someone who's genuinely just, like, super skinny and sort of gender-free in terms of, like, who isn't explicitly gendered by their anatomy. Something like that. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. Riot will catch up to 2010 standards by 2035. Yeah, maybe. I miss old base Kale. Yeah. Like, that you're very right about. That's the one that I really fucking don't get as a design decision for Kale. How,
leveling up and becoming more powerful makes her take her armor off. Like, I get the idea of her being unleashed, but it's like, yeah, but you're literally making her look less powerful every time you level her. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, the other sword. Gotta remember that. Okay, well, if I have completely fucked this up in every single possible way, it is a little too late to fix it now. Nah, that looks alright, all things considered. Let's see, let's grab one of you. No. We'll do that an easier way. We don't have any confirmed mothers in League of Legends. I don't think so, no. We don't actually do. We have actually got no maternal figures in League of Legends. Which, again, is one of the, like, there's so many archetypes of femaleness and femininity that League of Legends just refuses to even exploit, like, to even design in. Like, the idea of the mother, the maiden, and the crone, which is one of the oldest female archetypes in the world. Like, Shakespeare fucking used it. Would have been so easy, but it's just like fucking all maidens all the time, and there's no mothers, there's no crones. Like, there's no fucking, like, stern school teacher, or, like, there's so many different female archetypes. Like, even if you're going with the shitty stereotype shit, like, a fashion designer champion who deals damage by throwing needles at, like, there's shit you can do where you take female archetypes and use them to be powerful, rather than just having every single female character be a woman warrior. And I don't think I'm not saying they should have like 50 of them, or that all of the champions should be changed or anything. Just, it would be nice to have like one old lady in League of Legends who isn't Camille. Right? Like a proper old, like, crusty swamp witch or something. Or an old wizard. Like, take fucking Zillion and make him into a woman. That would be a fucking radical redesign of the champion and a really interesting archetype that most games don't have, which is old female wizard. Like, most games don't have that. They have witches. Female wizards are fucking rare. League of Legends could be amazing just by doing that. Like, there's so many easy, like, knock 'em out of the park, just such easy little things you could do. Those easy setups that we just, like, all you have to do is just do the most basic version of it, and you'd be doing better than, like, 99% of the industry, and Riot fucking never does. They'd never go for it. Yeah, Rule 63 out of the Laldus. There's so many fucking male League of Legends champions where there's no reason why you couldn't just turn them into a woman. Like, there's no reason you couldn't just make them a woman. Darius, for example, doesn't need to be a man. Ezreal doesn't really need to be a... Well, he does kind of need to be a fuckboy. That's kind of part of his personality, but he didn't used to. Like, and you don't need to change anything else about them. Like, still have, like, a female Darius be shredded as fuck. And, like, maybe like she has breasts now. Maybe she doesn't. And the same thing, like, Garen could easily be female champion. Like, there's nothing saying that he has to be male. There's nothing in his character that kind of demands it. Like, Misfortune kind of has to be a woman, because, like, her whole character design relies on the idea of the busty pirate maid. Which, fine. I'm fine with that. And you kind of... Gender bending that kind of doesn't work because that archetype doesn't really exist in the same way. But, like, so many other champions, like, you could swap their gender and it would change nothing about them except the gender. And it would add so much fucking variety to the game that it desperately needs. Ooh, do I want to watercolor this, actually? I think I want to try watercolors on it. One of my 40 billion watercolor brushes. Let's see, how about this one? No, I prefer a, maybe... Yeah! The lovely thing about watercolor is that it has such a good texture. And it sort of naturally adds some interest to the character's colors just by using it. Unfortunately, I'm kind of shit at it. It also needs you to have a base color for the watercolor to work off of, which can be challenging. And you kind of need to do, like, I'm so used to doing multiple strokes for coloring, but watercolor kind of demands that you do it one stroke at a time. Because it's not like paint where you layer it on. It's much more like, well, it is like layering it on, but it's like layering it on one full layer at a time. Oh, uh-oh. Bum, ba-da-dum, bum, ba-da-dum-dum, ba-da-dum. Okay, I seriously need to get some food, so I'll be back in a second. Food! Oh, neither. I just made some open-faced sandwiches. I wasn't frying anything. Okay, I'm just gonna shove this food into my face hole, and we'll start drawing again. Good luck in League of Legends! Okay. I am done making disgusting mouth noises. Except, of course, for the words that come out of my face. But read death. No one's ever gonna die in League of Legends lore. They're never gonna do that. The most we'll get is, like, in a rework that they kill a champion off, air quotes, and then have some successor come in. Like, maybe Shen dies, but then someone comes in and takes over his position as head of the Twilight Order or whatever, and just mostly has, like, the same... Like, that's the closest thing. No, the killing of the predecessor is not what they did with Pantheon. Pantheon is still the same guy. He's just, Atreus... He's just the same guy, but without the god powers now. Like, it was the aspect that died, and then the man remained and had some of the powers. Okay. So those neck braces and shit, that was brass, right? Yeah. So this, yeah. Is that set to 0? Don't be 0. Be like 32. Let's try that just for a sec, just to see if that maybe makes the process a bit easier. It certainly makes it more uniform, but I'm not sure that's what I want, actually. I kind of want the bleed. That's part of what makes watercolor charming. It's the bleed over. Not gold. We'll do brighter. Oh, Shifla had a suggestion, by the way, which is actually not bad. And I can demonstrate it in a simpler way than he thought, actually. So... let's start with this. So those are eyes, right? Male eyes, maybe? They're eyes. Now they're female eyes. And that's part of how stylization codes for gender. Like, one of the simplest things, if you just add expressive eyelashes to a character, all of a sudden they are coded feminine in the eyes of most viewers. Which is an annoying feature of the way in which we've sort of constructed cartooning, especially. But nonetheless, it's a thing. Whoa, 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 whoa. That was on top of the line art. That wasn't intentional. And that's something you have to reckon with when you're dealing with character design critique and stuff like that is... And something you're gonna have to learn as an artist is that those gender codings, they're really important tools to use in order to communicate what character, like, communicate the character you're actually trying to show. But they're also something that's important to be conscious of maybe challenging every once in a while. Because they're really reductive and kind of shitty when you get right down to it. But, like, there's a lot of character design where, like, the difference between male and female is mostly just expressed in taking the male and adding something to it. Like, Minnie Mouse, for example, is Mickey Mouse, but with a dress and a hat with a flower on it and some eyelashes. Daisy Duck is Donald Duck, but she wears, like, a bow on her head and has eyelashes. Like, that's really what it is. And that's, like, it's something you can't escape as a character designer, but it's also something that's worth being conscious of and maybe subverting sometimes. So that we can expand to the language of what masculinity and femininity mean in cartooning. Ba-da-da. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. Thin waists and high-heeled shoes used to be masculine traits at a time. Yeah, I mean, corsets used to be for men. Men used to wear corsets. That used to be a masculine attire. But the definition of masculinity shifted. And it's always shifting. The same thing with femininity. What is feminine is always shifting. It's not set. There's only very, very few features of the human body that can be said to, like, be sort of inherently masculine and feminine, and even they are always subject to cultural reinterpretation. Like, it's never nearly as set in stone as the transphobes would have you think, like, oh, you can only be a man or a woman, you can't be anything, blah, 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 blah. Like, no, it's never that set in stone. And it never has been. Yeah, getting there. This actually looked quite nice. Let's see. There's the watercolor. Yeah. I mean, I'd prefer a True Scum over a TERF, at least in the sense that True Scum recognize that trans women are women. Just that they have a shitty, narrow, and really stupid definition of what a trans woman is. It's the difference between, you know, having cholera and a really nasty flu that nearly kills you, you know. But yeah, True Scums are really frustrating. Because they make the conversation impossible. Because they basically turn it into a quantum, like, you must have suffered this much to be able to talk about this subject, which is not a useful way to do it at all. Because it's related to the same thing that TERFs do, where it's like, oh, but trans women can't be oppressed because they don't have wombs, and that means they don't share in the feminine lady oppression. I might want a cross-stitch piece that just says feminine lady oppression with like florals and a skull in there. Neat. Okay. And now we are gonna get ourselves a flat white. Okay, so contract that selection by a couple of just by the one, and then this, and then we do bright red so we can see what we're doing. Good. Okay. You get behind there. Thank you. And that, and this, and multiply, and that might be the wrong color. Yeah, still the wrong color. You want to do blue for that then? See, does that actually improve it? Right, but I might want to do a blender. Yeah, nice. And then we do the classic. And add glow set to what, 18-20%? Probably do that with a gradient instead. This. Yeah. That looks about right.
a bigger brush for this. That's gonna take a while to resolve.
Nah, we'll just go with this. And that will do.